Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
Check. What up, world? It's the man with the plan, Bert McGurk, aka PR, the King of Hearts, and you are now tuned into Clocking Out, the podcast you listen to when you need to get motivated and inspired to doing bigger and better things. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Clocking Out. I'm your host, PR, the King of Hearts, and today we are here with Perzival. Perzival, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
So far, so good, man. Like we mentioned earlier, trying to fight this heat wave that's coming our way, you know?
Yeah, I'm dying, dude.
So how's your week been, man?
It's going good. It's going real good. Just been staying at home. I travel a lot for my other job, and so I finally get to relax about a week or two.
I hear you, man. Trust me, I know how that's like working multiple jobs. With the way things are now, you always got to have either 2 or 3 jobs going on, or a side hustle on top of that, or something, man.
Yeah,
Cutting it no more, right?
pretty much. Yeah, all my jobs are side hustles at this point. That's all it is.
I hear you, man. So before we get into getting to know more about you personally and what you have going on with the streaming and everything, please take a second to introduce yourself to our listeners and followers and our viewers, and give us a little bit of idea who you are, where you're from, and some background on your experience in streaming.
All right. My name is Perzival. I am an MMO / cozy content creator. I mainly made YouTube videos, and I started streaming about 7 months. When was December? 8 months ago, 8 months ago. I started streaming around then. I live in the Southeast. I pretty much go between Georgia and Alabama. I have a cabin in Alabama that I own, and then I have a house in Georgia that I kind of go back and forth. When a time to relax and kick my feet up, it's usually me at the cabin and no worries in the world. But yeah, I have only been making content for, well, video content, I guess you could say, for about a year now, a little bit over a year. But before that, though, I was a podcaster. Well, I still am a podcaster. I have a true crime podcast called The Dweller Archives, and we're launching a second podcast very soon. We have a good amount of listeners, and it's been fun. We've been doing that for about 3 years now. So.
I love that, man. And what initially drew you towards streaming on Twitch and YouTube, coming off of doing podcasting and everything, instead of just continuing that? How did that transition happen?
It's going to sound really weird. I was married and then I got divorced within a month. It's a whole situation. Found out my ex was cheating on me. But while we were dating and engaged, I was like, hey, I kind of want to make YouTube content. I want to make gaming content. And she said, no. Don't do that. That's nerdy. I don't like that. So right when that ended, I decided to go for making videos on YouTube, make funny MMO related videos, and really try to focus on developing a community, because that was my main focus. During my relationship, I was alienated from my friends and family, so I felt like I didn't have anybody. So I was like, I'm gonna make videos.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. That we're losing connection here. I don't know what's going on. I want to make sure we got proper video so I can. I'm sorry about that. You're cutting up on your. Is the service good on your end?
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
it's mine. Weak security. Hold on. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. No worries.
1 second.
Yeah, it's good on my end.
Okay, well, we should be good. All right, let's do that one more time. I'm sorry. If you can just intro, I want to just make sure I got proper video. I feel like just introduce yourself one more time. We'll go right back into it. Let's go.
All right, hi, I'm Perzival. I make cozy content and MMO content on YouTube, and I've been streaming video games on Twitch for about 8 months now. I live in the Southeast. I go between Georgia and Alabama. I have a cabin in Alabama, and I have my house in Georgia, so I go back and forth. But I've been making content for about a full year now, and I have managed to develop an awesome community, and I've grown a lot. I've actually accomplished a lot compared to some content creators. They say they've been going for years, and I've managed to crush it out in just a few months. So
yeah, that's what's up, man. And what I initially asked you before we started breaking up on service and everything was, what initially drew you towards streaming on Twitch and YouTube after starting podcasting? How did it go into transitioning into that?
Oh yeah. So like I said, I was married, and I was in a toxic marriage. Only married for a month, actually. Then I found out she was cheating on me. But during that time, and while we're engaged and dating, I wanted to start streaming video games and making YouTube videos. And she told me, no, I can't do that. I'm not allowed to do it which is weird. I don't know why. So the moment that we, split, once I figured everything out, I decided to go my own way. Um, I was like, all right, well, I've been alienated from my family and friends. Don't have a lot of friends right now. Really repairing the relationship I have with my family. I need friends, and I focused on developing community in my content. That was the main thing in all my videos, was a call to action to join my Discord and to game with me and just to hang out. And we have currently right now over 2,000 members in our Discord, our Tavern Dwellers Discord, which is awesome. And we're growing every single day. I think today alone we've gotten like 30 people join in. So it's been fun, man.
I love that, man, and you're not alone on that. Trust me, I've dealt with the whole
Yeah.
situation of having a shitty relationship with someone, and also having to feel like I was wrong or something, or if I was doing something wrong by showing
Yeah.
interest in wanting to do content. I totally understand where you're coming from. I've dealt with that myself. I've had people be like, no, don't do that. And in all honesty, I feel like it's mostly the fact that they get embarrassed for them. Like it's
Yeah.
just something that they're not used to, because again, there's like a stigma behind this whole thing of people creating content. Like they're
Yeah.
not going nowhere, they don't do nothing. And it's not until they see that you're really consistent with it, you start growing a following, you can actually make a living off of this stuff.
Oh,
And
you can.
find it
Yeah. No,
hard
you
to
definitely
believe.
can.
And that's the thing, when they see that, they don't see the opportunity or the possibilities when you're starting in this. You know what I mean? It isn't easy, it is hard, but it's one of those things that if you really have a passion for it and you put the right time into it and effort into it and you're consistent enough, you can grow. And it's like you mentioned, within a short period of time, you were able to put in a lot of consistency and focus, and you were able to grow your community like that. You know, it doesn't happen always for a lot of people, but when you're that dedicated and focused on what you want to do, it shows. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
a strong believer in real recognizes real. So when people are looking for that stuff and you find someone who actually has a passion for it and cares for it and shows up every day, you're gonna have people consistently following you and showing up to support. And some people
Yeah.
just find that really hard to believe, man. So I know where you're coming from when it comes to that, man.
Yeah, like you said, partners get embarrassed because their partner wants to make content or want to do something on the internet. The thing is, though, that I have said this, I guess, for about 6 or 7 years now. If you have a phone, you have a way to make money, and the beauty about streaming or YouTube or things like that, people actually don't have to financially support. Like, your community doesn't have to send you money at all, as
Yep.
long as you're getting those views, those interactions, and everything like that. Companies will interact with you, and then they will, sponsor a stream, or they'll sponsor a YouTube video, or you can sign a brand deal. And that's what I focus on, is that I tell my community my content is always free. It will always be free. There will never be behind a paywall. I just, I greatly appreciate your support, and together we're growing. We're gonna surpass, yesterday and what we did the other day. We're gonna keep growing and growing and growing. And I believe that mentality that I have, one, I want to succeed out of spite. I know that sounds ridiculous. I was told I was going to fail by my ex. So I kind of want to put my middle fingers in the air towards that. And I want to, every day, I want to push farther and go harder. It's the same thing how I treat myself physically. I work out every single day. I diet every single day. Everything I do, I make sure that it's completely calculated so I succeed and I move farther than I was the day before. And I've always had that mentality. And if I do not do something, if I do not work on something or progress on something, I feel like I'm falling behind. And I know one day that's going to cause burnout, but that hasn't happened today or yet at all. So right now I'm golden.
Nah, I hear you, man. And trust me, I've felt with that. I've dealt with that also, with the whole burnout thing. Sometimes I get a little caught up because you start getting a momentum and you start getting like a
Yeah.
progression going, and you don't want to slack. You feel like if you miss one day, like that'll be the day that you get like that extra follower, that extra push, or that extra
Yeah.
person to come in stream. So it's like when that gets in your head and you start seeing that all those like sleepless nights of whether you're editing or streaming, or like you go from going to work and then you're coming straight home to make it on time for a stream, it's like it's not something that you have to do, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things like you said you were going to stream, and even if you only have 3 people watching or one person, it's like I told that one person I was going to be streaming. I told that one person I was going to go live. And it gets in your head and it just starts motivating you. And once you start seeing those numbers go up and you start seeing a following and you see people show up, again, it's not even about, when I say numbers, it's not even about the fact of making money, because I totally agree with you. As long as people show up and they're chilling with you and they're there in the chat and everything, there's so many ways. Just stopping by to say hi, just watching it for a few minutes or whatever, all of those things add up, and it helps you a lot. And a lot of people don't seem to notice that. There's a lot of ways to support streamers that don't necessarily require you coming into your pocket, you know? And that's something that I really like that you're mentioning, because a lot of people don't think of it like that. A lot of people think like, oh, I'm not doing nothing. I haven't bought anything from them. I haven't bought merch. I haven't subscribed or paid for a subscription. I haven't, you know, and all those things get to them and they feel like they're not giving back to you when really just them showing up is enough. So the fact that you're mentioning that, I truly appreciate it, because sometimes I myself overthink, and I feel when I try showing up for so many people, it gets hard to either be there for a long time or to try to contribute in some type of way. And it gets from a fan or a viewer's point of view, it kind of gets to us a little bit because we feel bad. We know that you're always there for us and you're giving us that entertainment, or you're giving us that safe space. And sometimes we just feel like messed up in a way for not being able to do more. But that's the thing. A lot of people don't understand that that's just showing up is enough, man. And I really appreciate you saying that, because like I said, a lot of people need to understand that there are many different ways to support people, not just in streaming. If they have a business or anything, you know, just show some love, a like, a share, a follow, whatever it is, man. That goes a long way also. What I wanted to ask you next pertaining to all this for the streaming and everything, what are some of your biggest non-streaming hobbies or interests?
So I got a lot of hobbies. It's because I don't like being bored. That is my thing. But see, I like being by myself, but I don't
Yes,
like being bored.
same way.
Um, I barbecue, like I smoke meat, and things like that. I like to go throw axes. I work out. Um, I read a lot. I learn languages. Actually, right now, one of my fascinations with languages is Esperanto, which is a conlang. Um, just so many things, and I don't know why I'm like this. I've been this like my entire life. I have to be working on something, and I have to have a hobby. But yeah, then mainly gaming too. I would say gaming is about 15 to 20% of my day, and that's where majority of my content. I mean, that's all my content. But outside of that, I'm doing. Ooh, it's thundering. I'm doing so much things. I actually am very weird about this. Scheduling is a hobby of mine. I make sure I wake up at 5 a.m. Um, I go to the gym, and then like I'm everything is to key, and I try to schedule my day out. And if I don't schedule it out, it bugs me. It my day has to be scheduled from the very beginning.
I hear you. I try to do that myself, but it never works out and it frustrates me. Like I'll try to wake up early and be like, you know what, today I'm gonna make a schedule and show up on time and be more organized. And
Yeah.
then there's always something that happens that just screws it up, and I'm off either by half an hour, 20 minutes or something, and it throws my whole flow off for the day, and it kind of bothers me. But I gotta give it to you, man. I know scheduling is easy. A lot of people tend to think like, oh, like yeah, you just write it down or put it in your calendar and you'll make it. Put an alarm, and it's not that easy,
Oh,
man.
it's
Sometimes
way more than that.
the universe
Yeah,
works in mysterious ways, man. And it takes you back.
it is. Yeah, I think mine is because I was in the fire department for 6 or 7 years. I was in the fire department for 7 years. EMT was a fire medic. Um, and if you were messing up in any way, you would get bitched out. Like things
One
would.
second, one second. We're breaking up again. What is going on? Here, now we're back. What is going on?
I
Okay,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry about that.
Are you
Now
good?
go. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead again. What were you saying?
I think mine's because I was in the fire department and it was beaten in my brain that you have to have a schedule, and every day was like this because the job is uncontrollable, but the one thing you can't control is the time that you have. So that got put into my brain, and ever since academy, that has just been how I've been, and I don't think I was going to change. Yeah,
How long were you in the fire department?
about 7 years, 6 or 7 years. I was a fire
Wow,
medic. Yeah.
that's crazy. And what made you get into the fire department?
Um, it was weird. My entire life, I mean, I've had like a very strong family. My dad is pretty much superhuman, and he's always been a badass. And I was like, I'm gonna try to be more of a badass than him. No, that's physically impossible. Doesn't matter what you do for a job. Your dad is always going to be the most badass person
I,
in your life.
I agree.
And I was in the fire department. I joined because I wanted to prove to my family that I'm strong. Um, I mean, I did. I definitely did. But I love. Actually, I did love the fire department. I didn't like the medical side. The fire side's fun as hell. If it burns, it's fun. But other than that, no, the medical side definitely sucked. And I ended up having a fall and hurting my back. And I ended up having a surgery, A-lift, P-lift, and they put a cage around my spine. And so I wasn't really able to be a firefighter after that. So it's another reason why I got out.
Damn, man. And how long did it take for you to recover from that?
Surprisingly fast. I was up and walking right after surgery. Yeah, I was trying to get up, move around. It was a struggle, but I was up and walking, and I was able to start working out again after about 6 months, 6, 7 months.
Like, and so that's mainly your like go-to thing is working out, correct?
Yeah, well, it's mainly living a healthy lifestyle. Because I mean, if if you're with a toxic person, you tend to live a toxic lifestyle. You do unhealthy habits. You eat junk. You drink a lot. You waste a lot of time. And the moment I got free, I like to say that as I got free, and I was able to put myself back on track and how I used to be. And so I was like, I'm not going to go back to how I used to be. I'm going to be better than what I used to be. And so I track my macros. Everything I eat is calculated. Every bit of it. I know how many I eat. 163 grams of protein a day. Um, I mean, everything is calculated to key, and it keeps me focused, business oriented, everything. I feel healthy and I feel energized. I get my 6 to 7 hours of sleep at night. Yeah, just I focus on living a healthy lifestyle because I personally believe if you're healthy and you get those natural chemicals going in your body, you can accomplish pretty much anything.
I agree with you, man. And I want to touch a little bit on that whole situation about, coming out of a toxic relationship and dealing with that. Because like I said, I myself have dealt with that as well. It took me quite a minute. And basically the same path, besides, except for the marriage part, but technically I was in a way
Yeah,
because I was with her so long. It was the mother of my kids. We had 2 kids. That didn't go so well. She was unfaithful. And it was just it was a big mess. And
yeah,
again, it was one of those things. I get where you're coming from, because again, I was so focused on doing things for the family and making sure I was showing this other person that I was there for her, and just focus on doing the right thing and
yeah,
just making money and just showing up for the family and everything. And then you really don't notice that it's like you said, you neglect your friends, or you neglect the
yeah,
people that were there for you, and you're thinking that you're doing the right thing, and then it comes out that you don't really realize that you kind of just like cut yourself off from everybody. and
yeah,
and and it's not like you did it purposely, but it's one of those things, like, without you knowing, you start changing who you are. People start looking at you differently, and by the time you realize, it's one of those things that it's too late. And
yeah,
it's really a process to get back to who you were, and feeling good about yourself and everything. And I myself, I started podcasting. I felt like I was a secluse, and that, like, I cut myself off from the world. I didn't know how to hold conversations with no one anymore. Technology, I was always into playing games, but even that was frowned upon. I couldn't go out and do nothing, so I would stay home and try to play games and keep myself occupied. That was also bad. If I ever tried to do anything with recording, just because I liked vlogging and all that stuff, like, I like content stuff,
yeah.
and all those things were frowned upon. So it's like, I totally understand where you're coming from. And so what I want to ask you is, what advice do you have for anybody else who is possibly going through a similar situation, probably doesn't know it yet or doesn't see it? Like, what are some things that you feel are like some tell signs that are like leading into that direction of something that people should pay more attention to and focus on before they lose themselves?
So like getting lost in the relation, like how are you gonna notice you're getting lost?
Yeah.
One of the reasons, like one of the things that I noticed is I stopped loving the things that I loved, and I was putting more attention towards her, and I wasn't doing anything for me. Not one bit of my day was for me. And I put so much attention towards her. I started to hate gaming. I started to, I legit like e- uh, every time she was drinking, I felt like I needed to drink, and you started going down that spiral, that kind of like dark hallway, and it just felt like you weren't there anymore. You were a shell of what you used to be. You may look like you on the outside, but you are a completely different person. Your friends don't respect you, and you notice it when your friends stop talking to you, when they stop texting you every single like. Because I used to have friends. Well, I have them again. They're back. But I have friends that text me every day. Hey man, how's it going? Just checking up on you. Hope you're doing good. And eventually, like they told me she was bad for me, and I never listened. I was in love, and they cut me off. They're like, "No, he's not learning." So one of the first signs is when your friends are starting to tell you, and then when it's happened, when you've completely lost yourself, your friends cut you out because they warned you. They told you this is what's going to happen. But yeah, those are some signs. When you another thing, you lethargic. You do not want to get out of bed. You've been dealing with their shit the day before. The next day, you just want some peace and quiet, and you want to lay down, and you're just not getting it. So yeah, those are some small signs.
And what are some things that you did besides for the gym and besides for streaming? What are some other things that you did that led you up to going back like into podcasting, streaming, and doing things like you said, like you wanted to build a community, you wanted to just
Yeah.
talk to people, and that's the same way I feel. That's why I wanted to do the podcast. I felt like the best excuse that I can have to try to learn streaming and learn editing and get out of my comfort zone and try to just learn how to speak with people and communicate again was the podcast. So that was my
Yeah.
excuse for doing it. What are some things that you did before getting up to starting to podcast and starting to live stream and do things like that? What is it that you did to work your way up to that, or to go to the gym? Like, what were the first few steps like before you broke out of that and you started finding yourself again?
I cut out alcohol completely. It's not like I was an alcoholic before. My ex was an alcoholic. So right when I got home, I was like, I'm not drinking for like a couple months. No drinks. Instead of going to the gym, I immediately just started going on walks every day. I downloaded there's an app called Finch, and it's like a, little companion on your phone that you can log in how you're feeling and stuff like that. And it'll give you reminders like, "Hey, brush your teeth." Because I mean, when you're depressed, things like brushing your teeth is a big accomplishment at the end. Like at the end of the day, just like getting up, getting out of bed is a huge accomplishment. And I felt defeated, and I felt like I didn't want to do. I didn't even feel like being alive. Not like in a suicidal way. I just didn't want to exist. I didn't want to be on this plane of existence. And just getting up and doing small things at the time when it first started happening, I felt like, man, this is loserish. But in the end, it was accomplishments. I was winning. I was actually making an effort to getting better every day. So yeah, getting up, brushing my teeth, going on a walk, listening to like just podcasts that helped a lot. A self help podcast, especially on a men's side, a men's mental health podcast. Because I mean, last month was Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's true. Our mental health is constantly overlooked, and it's viewed like, hey, we need to be strong. But when we put into these situations, it's never easy. Like people think that you can just shrug it off. You can't. That's the reality is that you can't shrug off shit. You actually have to talk with people. You have to do things. You have to do the right steps to get over it. So
100%, man. And I know it's not easy. I've been through it, and I know a lot of people tuning in right now. Shout out the Knock Show. Shout out to Brad chilling in the chat right now on Twitch. I know it's a lot. It's a process, and a lot of people. Some people think it's one of those things like, oh man, get over it. There's plenty of fish in the sea and everything, but it's a thing where you start analyzing yourself and you start questioning yourself of like you do a lot of. I mean, for me, it was tough because I did a lot of relying on my gut feeling or my instincts, and you think like, oh, you're right and you're following your gut and all this, and then it comes out that you weren't right. You were wrong
yeah,
about this person, and things weren't what they seemed, and you feel really shitty because you start thinking about like all the people that were trying to tell you like just to for your sake of like listen, this isn't good for you, or you're changing, or you this and this, and you brush it off because in your mind, like you said, you're in love, and you start looking at like, oh, people are jealous, or they don't understand, or they really don't know her, or they don't know the situation, or they don't.
yeah,
And it just sucks because then when you really realize what was going on, it gets to you, and then you start questioning your judgment, and you start questioning your instincts of like, all right, now this is telling me to jump. should I jump? Because last time I did it and I landed on my face. Like, what am I supposed to do? So
Yeah.
I know a lot of those things aren't easy, man. But what I wanted to ask you next, because I know streaming has a lot to do with like being yourself or having like a personality and everything. What is how would you describe your streaming personality?
It's the same as mine as it is like normally. It's just slightly exaggerated. I focus I like sarcasm and humor is something I've always like. I come from a very when I say very Irish family, my dad's like right off the boat. He's from Donegal, Ireland, and so like that's just like banter, everything like that is my family, and it's just become my personality. So I exaggerated a little bit on stream, and definitely my YouTube videos. Like I actually got called out for this in my last video because I just say stupid shit. I was like, it's not all strippers and burritos, my friends, and stuff like that.
I
And,
love
yeah. So, and I when something goes bad, I say "fuck you, Wucky." I've said that in a professional setting before, and it literally in the fire department, and it was over radio. I got in
oh
trouble.
man.
Yeah, they're like, I had to describe the scene. I was like, well, it's Fucky Wucky. And I got a call in the next day and I got suspended. So that was really stupid. But that's always been my personality. And I do exaggerate it a little bit on stream. Like if usually my jokes, I just say it, I don't think about it. On stream, I do think about my jokes a little bit more than how I usually do, just like filter myself a little bit because you never know what could be clipped out of context and stuff. But I usually just let my personality be my personality. I know some content creators overly exaggerate their personality. For me, this is just me. This is I've always been like this. This is just how it's going to be. But I've met some content creators recently in the past year that their personality is night and day from what they are in front of the camera. There are some that are very loud and outgoing, and you see them in person, and it's quite the opposite. They're quiet, they're reserved, they want to stay back. I've met some people that are very quiet on stream, and you get them in person and they're ripping like 10 shots of JMO at the bar, and you're wondering what the fuck's going on. This is Jekyll and Hyde. So that it's just, it's how it is. Some people
and
exaggerate.
And what would you say is the most rewarding part of being a streamer? Because I know some people think it's just the money and everything like that. But I know many people have other reasons behind why they show up every day and they try building a community and all that. What is your most rewarding part of you being a streamer?
So the game I stream a lot, and it's called Palia. It's a cozy MMO, MMO light. It's a community sim. A lot of people are very weird about Palia because when they think of MMO, they think of raiding and dungeons and going in a guild and going against a bunch of people. Um, it's the exact opposite of that. It is building a ranch, things. My favorite part about streaming is the development community within that game and bringing everyone together and bullying the devs of that game to give us the content that we want. It was we all band together, like we demand this, we demand that. And it's been fun. We've been doing that. And it's not about the money at all. A lot of people think, oh, you're a Twitch partner. You must be. This is an exact thing someone said to me on Twitter, and it was the dumbest shit I've ever heard. You're a Twitch partner, you must be rich. No, that's not the case at all. That is
The same
people
thing,
think you get the check mark and you make
Yes,
money. That is not
yes,
the case at
bro.
all. And
Yo, about it.
that
Yes,
is
please talk about it.
that was the most ridiculous thing. They're like, "Oh, you're a Twitch partner. You must have money. You must have this." That is not the case. If you think Twitch partners have money, you're out of your damn mind. We don't. We're not loaded. We're not rich. And the people that make a lot of money to survive in streaming, that's outside of making outside of sponsor streams and outside of brand deals and stuff like that, are the ones that average like 3 to 4 thousand viewers per stream. They
Yes.
can make a living, or a little bit over. I would say a little bit over 6 to 700, as long as you make like a certain amount of subs.
Yep.
But people think like, oh, you're rich, you're that. No, that's not the case. And they think that once you are partnered, your life changes. There
No.
is nothing different than affiliate and Twitch partner. And it's not until later on that shit changes.
100.
Yeah, I average 140 viewers per stream. It definitely has opened a lot of doors. And that's what's important that people need to focus on once they get Twitch partnership or once they start having that high viewership, is to go in towards working with other game development like just Once Human. I applied for the Once Human um, team. I got into it, the content creator team. I You get to look, it's in your analytics to other people. That's the opportunity you have right now at my stage. But yeah, it's not until later on that you start getting money. But everyone has this weird mentality.
Bro, I'm telling you, I had to deal with it too. Like I mentioned, I'm not with the mother of my kids no more. And
Yeah.
it's always a thing about money. And my kids, like I literally try my best to separate, not because I'm embarrassed or nothing, just because I know I've tried to merge my personal accounts with what I'm doing with streaming and everything, and it doesn't
Yeah.
work because the people that I grew up with, the people that I surround myself with, are used to don't agree. They don't understand it. So I would always downplay what I was doing. I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna stream today. And he'd be like, ah, for what? No one tunes in. And what's the point? Just skip the stream. Don't
Yeah.
do it. And it would start affecting me because I'd start getting in my own head too much. Like, you know what? Maybe they're right. No one's tuning in. What's the point? I'm not gonna do nothing. And it wasn't like they were talking me down, but it's that they didn't understand that there's really a process to it. And you really just got to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
And once you do something and you do get the check or you have the sub button, out of nowhere, I don't know why. It's like you're saying they automatically saw you're making money, and the mother of my kids, for whatever reason, thought I was making like $1,000 to $2,000 a stream. And in my head, I'm like, lady, what is wrong with you? Where do you get these numbers? Oh, because I know this other streamer that's mad famous and he's making thousands of dollars per stream and he has ads and he has. I'm like, I don't even do that. I'm lucky if I get $2 if someone comes on the stream and watches a commercial or something, or subs,
Yeah.
or like. So they don't understand, like, and again, it's like whenever people sub, like, yes, the sub is anywhere from like $4.99, $5.99, whatever it is. We don't get that full price. They don't understand that
No.
neither. They think we get the full thing. And there's a lot of things that go into it. And again, it's a learning process. And it's just hard to believe for some people to be like, oh, but why do you put so much time into it if you don't make that much, or if you're not doing? And it's like it gets to that point, but it takes time to build up to that. It takes time to build a community. It takes time to find your niche and your thing, your personality, your flow. Like it's a lot of trial and error. It's not just go in, stream, and automatically you have people coming on. Like everybody and their mother is streaming nowadays. So it's
Yeah.
like you really need to put in the work to show these people that you're gonna be consistent. It's like a TV show. You're not going to just sit there and scroll through the channels and look for that one show that goes on once in a blue. You every day you get out of work, 5 o'clock after dinner, you put the kids to sleep or whatever, you're going to want to watch your show. It's the same thing for streaming or YouTubing or whatever it is. You go to those people and those contents. I strongly believe in streaming because I've seen the shift. I see that literal television is just dying. Everybody is just on their phones now. They're watching movies on their phone. They go to eat and they set up their phone and they're watching TV or they're watching shows or whatever it is. And it's like, so they're always looking for something. And nowadays, Netflix, Hulu, all these places don't cut it no more. They'll drop a show and then they'll show the entire season, and people will binge the season in one day, and then they're run out of
Ask me.
content. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm the same
Yeah.
way too. So I understand. But then when you go to these content creators, they're showing up every day. Every day they're doing something different. Every day they're sharing something new. Every day they're, and not only just the content creators themselves or the streamers, then you got the people you're interacting with in the chat. And then you start building relationships with them. So it's like, it's a never ending thing that starts snowballing into like this big thing. A lot of people don't understand that. They don't get it. It's me. And I was one of those people where I really found it hard to believe that I would be able to get along with people online that I don't know from a hole in the wall. That now I look at it like, yo, I'm getting more motivation, more support, and more of this like hope of being able to succeed in what I have a passion for from these strangers that show up every day and just like, tell me these words like, you're doing good and I love what you're doing and you're helping me and I'm dealing with anxiety and seniors. So all these little things, like, they help. And it's like you really don't notice it until you really just start showing up every day and you see the same names showing up on your screen or the same PFPs. And it's one of those things, like, it's really rewarding. I feel like that's more rewarding than it is to get a sub or anything like all those other things are a plus. But the fact that you have these people consistently showing up, that they're interested in you and everything, is just a big thing, man. So
It really is.
yeah, it is. It pays off, man. It pays because it's like you said, like you go from being strangers to friends, and then little by little, you're making literally like your own little family. And it sounds crazy to say that, but you start getting these bonds with these people, and you start getting really close with them, and they start, telling you things, and you just create these relationships that are just, I believe, like they're stronger than regular relationship than you would have with people. And it's just crazy, honestly, man. Technology is just taking things to a whole nother level.
No, it definitely has. And like you said, everyone has a stream or they have a podcast now, and that leads to another thing. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, like I'll never do this, or I'll never do that because everyone's got a stream or they got a podcast." Well, if everyone has got that, if everyone's got a stream or everyone's got a podcast, then you do have to outwork everyone if you want to succeed. But now everyone is busting their ass to grow, so you have to do other methods. And like to me, I utilize AI a lot when it comes to content strategy and content planning. I literally asked ChatGPT at the beginning, "Hey, I live in the Eastern time zone. What would be the best time for me to upload video in a gaming niche?" And then it would let me know. And I was like, "How often should I upload?" And it would tell me how often I should upload. 2 times a week. It said 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for gaming niche videos for the age ranges of, I believe I set it to 21 to 35. And I was like, that is a perfect age bracket. Those are the people that are either have a job or everything like that, uh, or the people that can understand my humor. So they were able to go. It worked. It's been working since the very beginning. And then I installed TubeBuddy on my YouTube videos, and TubeBuddy's able to tell me, "Hey, this tag works like crazy. You add this to your videos. Be sure this at this time." Now I can look at deeper analytics. I have more female viewers than male viewers, so I'm going to cater my audience a little bit more to the female audience. And on top of that, I'm able to aid with scripting. Another thing is scripting is very difficult. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't script." Well, what I do is I write down all my notes, I jot down everything, I run it through ChatGPT. I said, "Form me a script using my information that I have here. Form me a script," and then I'll do that. Now I'm struggling with my YouTube videos, my YouTube titles. AI give me top 10 video titles for clickability there, and then I will run my thumbnail through an AI saying, "Hey, is this good or not?" And usually the AI is like, "Yeah, it's good." And then I'll ask my Discord and get my community involved. "Hey, these are the YouTube titles I have an idea for. This is the thumbnail that I have an idea for. Rate them. Tell me what you like. What should I change?" And then I use the people in my Discord to alter small things until it gets fine tuned. And then I'm able to use AI, and then I transition to people. I run the ideas that I got from AI to people. It goes from robot to person to content. And using that method, it has grown significantly. The only thing I have issue with now is social media because I absolutely fucking hate posting all the time. And so I make all my content 1 day a week. I upload it and I don't have to worry about shit. And
Yep.
except for my streams. So that's
Bro, I love that you're saying, everyone who's in the chat right now, you call me Ashkin. Thank you for joining us. Tab, thank you for joining us. We have a lot of people coming over from X. They're joining us here on Twitch. Thank you guys for joining and kicking it with us in the chat. Make sure that you give Perzival a follow. I put his link to his Twitch profile in the chat. Make sure you go check it out. Also, when you go to his page, check out the description on his page, and you can follow him also on YouTube and give him a follow on Instagram and on Twitter or X. But I love that you're mentioning all that. Everyone, if you're trying to be a streamer, please take note of what he's saying, because I myself am dealing with that as well myself. It gets very stressful. First, you're focusing just on your streaming, and then you got that down packed, and then you got to start trying to grow it and focus, especially if you're streaming in multiple places. It's different. A lot of people find it hard to believe that it's not the same streaming on Twitch as it is on YouTube or X or on Instagram or all this other stuff. There's different times people go on each application for different reasons, and they're looking for different things. And then especially when you're taking your long form content and you're turning it into short form content, you got to start thinking about things like, all right, I got to start thinking about what I'm going to put in the description, what time I'm going to post it, what I'm going to put as the thumbnail, what I'm going to put as the title. All these things you think, oh, it doesn't matter, I'll just put whatever and whatever. There's a method to the madness. It sucks, but it does. And the whole thing is that you're not only competing with all these other people in the time, you're also competing with one thing is really freaking annoying, and I can't fucking stand it: the algorithm. Every freaking other day it's changing or it's doing stuff. So as soon as you get used to it and you get a flow, out of nowhere they changed it. So now it's like, all right, the times I was posting don't even matter now. What I was putting in the description doesn't even matter. It doesn't work now. Like, and it's not even that you have to think of the algorithm specifically because the algorithm is different on Instagram than it is on Twitch, than it is on YouTube. So it's like you literally have to play around with that. And what a lot of people forget, unlike all these big names that are getting like money to just pay someone like, here, go make these clips and make these thumbnails, we're doing it all ourselves. We have to look at the analytics. We have to so it's a lot that goes into it. But I'm so happy that you mentioned ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT for a lot of stuff. Also, I try making a script and things like for my vlogs or for my streams, and a lot of the times it doesn't work out that way. It doesn't play out. Sometimes it turns into something else, but it's always good to have some type of an outline in case you go blank or in case things go left. Like you can just pick up and just grab from whatever your notes are, whatever you wrote down, and it helps keep flowing and going. But at the same time, it's a process. You're learning. You're gonna learn. The only way you're gonna learn is if you mess up, and that's what I really like about this. You enjoy the process. And right now, that's what I'm going through. It does get stressful. Sometimes you feel like you're going to burn out because you start stressing about the time you're going to go on, how long you're going on, what you're talking about. Then you have to worry about like what I do right now and I struggle with. I used to just stream. Now it's like people show up and whether they're subscribed or not, they're in the chat. So then you got to interact with the people in the chat and show them that you care. And like, it's all these little things that at first you didn't really notice, but once things start picking up, you start noticing things. You start seeing like people, they want to talk to you, or they'll get upset like, oh, you ignored me, you didn't say. So whether you answer back in the chat or whether you're responding, or through the live video, whatever it is, there's these little things that as much as people think don't matter, it does. It makes people come back. It makes people share your stuff. It makes people say, you know what, he's great or she's great, and they interact with us and they keep us entertained, and we're not invisible. They see us, they notice us. It's all these little things that matter, and it's attention to detail. And some people say like, just forget it, whatever, post whenever and do it. And it's not. When you really start caring about this, you start caring about making sure that the time and effort that you're putting into this is actually being displayed out properly, and you're presenting yourself properly, and you're showing people you're taking it seriously. So I hear you where you're coming from on that, man. And I truly appreciate. Some people don't like to admit that they're using ChatGPT or that they're doing. I do the same thing too, bro. I go and I get my analytics and I try to copy it the best I can, and I put it in the ChatGPT and I ask it a million questions, and I'm still trying to learn the props. I don't know nothing about ChatGPT props. I just talk to it like as a regular person. Like, listen,
I do that.
Put this in the simplest way that I can understand. This is my analytics. I would like to get more followers. I would like to interact more. I would like to do better on YouTube or this or that, whatever. And it helps. It helps to have that person or thing or whatever it is there, instructing you and helping you and gathering all this stuff from online. It helps cut down the time, because a lot of us aren't just streaming. A lot of us have regular jobs plus streaming, plus, we're parents, or we have family and friends, and we want to try to balance everything evenly without neglecting one thing or another. We try our best to make sure we're dedicating the right proper time where it needs to go, to show people that we're taking it seriously and they matter. One of the other things I wanted to ask you pertain to that is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced as a streamer, and how do you overcome them?
Biggest challenges I would say is self-doubt. Um, so let's say it's summertime, and when you're streaming during summer, a lot of people are doing things during the summer. So when you go live, your audience isn't really going to be there, like not all of them. So I would say 2 months ago, I was averaging 300 viewers per stream. Now I'm averaging 144. And it's not because people hate me or my content shifted or anything. But there's two factors. One, the game that I play has been out for a little bit, and it usually picks up during times of updates. And there's going to be a lot of people that come in for that. Lately, there's a null of content, so that's going to hurt my viewership. And two, it's summer. People are doing shit with their family, but I had self-doubt. I was like, man, I must start sucking. I must really fucking suck if no one's like showing up. And then I got some reassurance from one of my awesome mod team, and then also from Twitter. Is like, everyone's like, oh yeah, viewership's low, it's summer. And that's when I started learning a lot more about streaming, because I still don't know a lot about streaming. I've only been doing this since December, and I've managed to like do a lot, but I didn't learn a lot of the basic stuff. I just like went live, and I didn't go through the normal process that a lot of people did, is where they started, they had 1 viewer, 2 viewer, 3 viewer, and they started growing. My first stream ever, I averaged 40 viewers, and it just went like, I got Twitch affiliate 3 days in. And
Nice.
yeah, I didn't I never experienced any of the 1 to 2 that those struggles. Um, but like the moment that I started experiencing the struggles, though, I was like, "Oh no, I'm failing." But because I didn't have, oh, I just hit my mic. I didn't have the lead up to what a lot of people did. Like they understood, okay, this is that. So I once I started experiencing it, I started going through streamer Twitter. I started learning a lot. I started educating myself, watching YouTube videos, and really just jamming knowledge into my noggin so I understand like what's going on. There are a lot of streamer tips that I didn't even know were a streamer tip. I didn't even know. There's one that says turn your viewer count off. I didn't know that. Apparently there's another thing. It's like, oh, don't do follow for follow. Yes, I understand. Don't do follow for follow, but follow like I do like follow for friends. If that makes any sense, like I'm legitimately trying to reach out and become a friend with you. I'm not following for you to follow me back to increase my follower the
Yep.
follower to unfollow ratio. I like to follow people because I want to become friends. I want to actually learn from you and see what you're doing. If you follow me back, that's a perk. But if I notice someone's a content creator that followed me, I will most likely follow you back because I want to see what you can make and I want to learn from that. And plus it doesn't hurt. Like a lot, like I said, a lot of people care about their follow to unfollow ratio. It doesn't hurt if they're close, but some people like to have their follower count significantly higher than like who they follow,
Yeah.
which is a silly goose mindset.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is how fucking popular I am.
Yo.
Dude, we play games on the internet, dude.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
does not matter. None of that shit matters. So like to me, I'd like to follow other content creators so I can learn, I can educate, and I can move forward because in this line of business, you could fake it till you make it all you want. You can grow and fake it till you make it. But once you get to a certain point, you need to know what the fuck you're doing.
Yo.
And yeah, it's at that point now where I really need to know what the fuck I'm doing. And so it takes me it took me a little while to understand some of the basics, but like I said, I'm learning every single day. And as I said earlier, I try to make myself better every single day. But yeah, there's some streamer advice out there that is absolutely ridiculous. That it's more like people trying to toot their own horns and find ways to make themselves seem more popular. But when it comes to streaming, it's different for everybody. So the best advice for streaming and everything like that is just like be consistent, schedule your time, and do other shit outside of streaming. Those are the only things that matter. If you're making a podcast, a YouTube channel, be consistent with those. Have your upload days right on your podcast, have your upload times right on your YouTube channel, and stream the days you're going to stream. And mainly, and streaming, by the way, should be the least amount of effort you need to put in compared to the other ones. YouTube needs to have a lot of effort put into because that aids in discoverability. And your podcast is the content outside of YouTube. People get to hear your actual thoughts. It's not just a scripted video. Podcast is people's legitimate thoughts put down. You can listen to it at any place, anywhere. You're driving a car, you have Spotify, and stream is just for fun. It should be just for fun. But if you're growing with your stream, it should still be fun, but you should at least have a business mindset to it. But everything else should be far more. You should be putting way more effort in the other content that you make.
No, I agree with you, man. It was something that I struggled with at first too. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I wanted to stream. I started streaming, and then little by little, it started turning into this. Originally, my plan was just to document my journey of me clocking out of my 9 to 5 and what I was
Yeah.
gonna do. And then I started noticing, I was like, who the hell am I that people are gonna want to see what the fuck I'm doing? Like, no one's gonna give a shit. They go, bro, like, who are you? And then the more and more I started thinking about it, I was like, why don't I just flip it? Like, I'm still trying to learn. So why don't I just try to use this to hear other people's story and learn from them and see what they're willing to share? And that's what I started looking at as. That's why I was like, you know what, let me just document these conversations and share with anybody else that'll help, see what I can go back and learn from them. Like, it's like me taking my notes basically, and instead of just keeping it
Yeah.
to myself, I just want to share it with anyone else to see if it'll help them also. But the main focus is just like you said, like streaming. I try to make these just like a normal conversation and everything like that. There's people that they want to do it, but they don't want to be live, so we'll just have the video call. I won't make it live, and if they don't want me to share the conversation, I don't. But at least I had that conversation with them. They're sharing with me, I share with them, and it's all about sharing from firsthand experiences. And like, it's like you're saying, if you don't need to put yourself on a pedestal or anything and be like, oh,
Yeah.
like my followers or this. I try my best to follow anyone back just to show, like, you know what, I see you, and I'm anytime that you want to hit me up, there's no excuse. We're following each other. You can DM me. You can, like, there's no limit. There's no, it's like you said, there's
Yeah.
no wall there or nothing like that. And that's what I try to do myself too, to show them, like, listen, I don't think I'm better than anyone. I always try my best, like, whether you're in the chat or not. If I see that we're following you, post something and it's interests me, I'll interact with it. I'll share it with other people. I'll repost. I'll share it in a DM, whatever it is. Because if I find it interesting, someone else has to also. If I find something beneficial out of it, I'm pretty sure someone else will too. And I'm the type of person, like, what I'm really trying my best to do is, if I don't know it based off of what I learned from someone and someone else could do it better, I want to be able to be like, listen, I don't really know, but this person does, and I can point them in the right direction, you know. And I can have people who would probably make a great project or collab together, or a great friendship or whatever it is, work together and find themselves. You know, if I'm that middleman to do it, so be it. But I agree with you. I think that things should be looked at more as a thing to collaborate, grow, share thoughts and ideas, you know, and just collaborate with other like-minded people, instead of looking at it like a popularity thing, like, I have these followers and because you kind of lose sight of it. Once there's some people that they're on it every day, and then once they hit over 1,000 or 10,000, you don't see them no more. They get a little big-headed, or they just think they made it, and then, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really work that way. But I totally agree with you. I think that people shouldn't take this too seriously to the point where it changes them, but they should take it serious enough to where they're respecting the people that are showing up and giving their time, you know? So I agree with you on that. What I wanted to ask you next is what did you when did you know that streaming was something you wanted to pursue and take seriously?
Well, I downloaded. I didn't really download. I went on Twitch on my computer, and I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, you should stream. You have the personality for it. Definitely try to stream." And I went in and I started watching. It's so weird why I got like why I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I started watching like those drama streamers, and like there's always some shit going on and everything. And I was like, I guarantee people are gonna want to watch something that's like easier vibes than that, because that is hectic as hell, and that's just too much. I don't like it. So I started streaming because of like I don't like that kind of content. And I was like, all right, I could definitely do this. I'm definitely gonna start streaming. And I am gonna be the exact opposite of whatever the fuck I just watched. And I loved it. I started watching other content creators. They seem to have a good time. They seem to have developed an awesome community, and people were joining their community. So I was like, that's another thing that I want to incorporate. But yeah, I started because I truly, truly hated drama streamers. I thought they were the absolute most ridiculous thing, walking cancer of this planet. But yeah, no, that's what I noticed. I was like, yeah, I can do this.
You just wanted to disrupt the streaming world.
Yeah, I just like I don't like how this is going. I'm gonna be different. Like, let's go do this.
But I love it, bro, because you focused on like a gray area and you found your space and you started doing your own thing, man. I love that, man. Have you ever collaborated with other streamers? And if so, how did those collaborations come about?
So I've only collaborated with one other streamer outside of you right now. His name is Offended Commit. He's another Palea content creator, and he makes content very similar to mine in a way. It was actually cut very short because I have a job that I have no idea when I'm going to work. I own an animal transportation business, and I can get a DM saying, "Hey, this animal needs to go here at this time right now." And it was a big, big paycheck. And so I was like, "Look, I got to go." And it was only 20 minutes in, so about 30, 40 minutes in. And I felt really bad, but when work calls, you have to go and make that money. So I haven't really collaborated with anybody. Like I said, I haven't been doing this long, so I haven't really gotten the opportunity, and I want to. I do a lot of shout outs in my content when I stream, like, hey, I've watched their stream, they're fantastic, or I watch their YouTube channel, it's great. But yeah, haven't really collaborated with anybody. I got offered to do an IRL stream with somebody. I don't know how that will go, and I don't know if I'm going to accept it yet or not. But that's pretty much the only other offer I've ever gotten with collaborating.
No, I can only imagine with having a job like that. There's another streamer that I've had on here. I'm convinced he doesn't like me, but I'm hoping to win him over one day. His name is Tom. He goes by Teacher. I say he doesn't like me joking around, but sometimes I feel like he just doesn't want to bother with me. But I've had him on, and he has his own business where he's I forget what it's officially called, but he cleans up crime scenes. So
Yeah.
so he gets calls randomly. Like he'll tell me, like he's told me stories where it'll be like the middle of the night and they'll call him and be like, listen, we have like a really bad crime scene. We need you to come. And he's told me like he's gone to like some really crazy like scenes. And he does streaming also. His streaming is called To the Moon, and they rip packs for like it's for like cards and collectible stuff and everything. So they're
Yeah.
always ripping stuff. And recently he had to go in the middle of a stream, and it was one of their big streams, and he had to go deal with a job. So it's like it just reminded me, from what you were saying, it reminded me of that. And I can only imagine, again, it's like it's what I was mentioning earlier. A lot of people tend to forget that this isn't all we do. We're
Yeah.
regular people just like anybody else. We have jobs, we have lives, and we have other things out of this. And it's like we're trying our best just to balance it all, but sometimes things just don't go as planned. Sometimes we can't make the scheduled stream that we have. Sometimes we miss a post or two or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's again, it's one of those things that we just go with the flow of it, and we try to adapt the best that we can just to keep going. And but I totally understand where you're coming from, man, especially if it's your own business. Like, you can't call out, you can't put that onto someone else. Like, it's one of those things where you just gotta be like, you know what, I can't today, and you gotta go handle and do what you gotta do. So I get where you're coming from on that. I know that that's not always something that's easy. So encourage some other inspiring streamers. What are some things you wish you knew before you started streaming?
Things I wish I knew before I started streaming. I would say be calculated. I mean, like I've always been calculated, but be a little bit more calculated than me. Um, at first I hit go live, and I feel like I could have accomplished a lot quicker if I scheduled things a lot better in the beginning. Um, but like the moment that I had a schedule, that's when I really started to take off. So schedule, make a good schedule, stick to it, be consistent, do not call out that much. So find a happy time where you know that this is that stream time, but also don't sacrifice your life for this. That's another thing. A lot of streamers go in and they will dedicate every moment of their day, whether it's on Twitter for streamer content, it is in channels for networking and stuff. Just go out and have some fun, just a little bit. Go do something, make yourself feel better. Because if you trap yourself in this and you get locked in that mindset of I'm failing or this isn't going the way I want, it's just going to affect you mentally. So do stuff for you, schedule your time. Oh, and you don't have to stream 12 hours a day to become famous. Or some people like, oh, I have to do a 6 or 7 hour stream. I streamed 2 days a week for 3 hours, and then I got partnered. I was doing the absolute minimum to get partnered. Literally, it's like these
It's
are
killing.
the requirements of days. I barely made it. And I had the viewership, and I barely had the time, and I barely had uh the days, because you have to stream like 12 days a month, everything. I barely had it. And I got it. But don't don't feel like you have to stream every single day for 6 to 7 hours. Be calculated, be smart, stream a little bit more than I did, just a little bit more. Throw an additional day. Now I stream 3 days a week. Then I got partnered. I'm like, okay, we gotta change shit up a little bit. 3 to 4 days, 2 to 3 hours. That's all you gotta do. And if because at the same time, that's all some people can spare. Is like, oh, I don't have enough time to stream. I only have 2 to 3 hours at the end of the day. But at the same time, that's all you need. You only need 2 to 3 hours. That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
But you
So
understand, I'm super jealous. It's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, I got my battle scars, so I'm proud of them.
no,
But
it's fine.
bro, I've been streaming since 2019, and I literally just got partnered. Like, I mean, I just got affiliated like last month. Like, literally.
But see, like that's the thing though. I did things differently than everybody else.
Yeah,
I
I could
started on
tell.
YouTube, and so I didn't know like the growing pains that a lot of people had to go through. Um, and I was talking about this with someone in a Discord, and then like, oh, how often do you stream? I was like, 2 days a week. This is right when I got partnered, and then like, how long your streams? About 2 or 3 hours. They got super pissed at me. Like they were like just aggressive out of nowhere. But I was like, look, no, my hustle, we all hustled and we all worked our ass off in different ways. Mine was just on YouTube. And then I then became a streamer. And I don't even like to say I'm a streamer. I'm a content creator. I make content. I make YouTube videos. I stream. I'm starting to make TikToks, which is I don't like short form content, but I'm getting there. Um, but my hustle was completely different than everybody else's, and that's completely fine. But a lot of people believe you got to dedicate your life. You do not have to dedicate your life. You just have to be calculated. And I mean, pretty much view it like view content as chess. You have to make the right moves to succeed.
I agree with you, man. And then it's true. It's not. I have to say, like, I've tried the YouTube thing, and I believe YouTube. I think YouTube is a different beast compared to Twitch. I
It
think
is.
Twitch, I feel, is a lot easier to. I mean, despite it taking me almost 5 years, but I think Twitch is a lot easier to get affiliate or to get like that like star or subscription thing than it is compared to YouTube. I believe YouTube has like a bigger requirement or more complicated requirement as far as trying to reach that, get the paid subscribe button and all that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, I started off on Twitch, and then now just recently I Twitch on I mean, now I stream on Twitch, X, and YouTube, just because the I use StreamYard and it allows me to do multiple now. But
Yeah.
before I was just focused on Twitch. Now it's like I'm trying to learn the process of what it is to go through the stuff on YouTube. At first I ignored it, but now I see a lot of people, they tend to show up on YouTube now, and they found me on there and they show up and they subscribed in there. So it's like I'm trying to make sure, again, I'm respecting everyone's time, and
Yeah.
I'm showing them that, I'm appreciative that they're showing up. But again, it's a different beast. It's something
It
different.
is.
Time to stream on there, how you post on there, what you put. It's totally different. But it's like you mentioned earlier, like, streaming should just be fun, podcasting to be sharing your thoughts, and then stuff on YouTube or Instagram, all those things. That's where you put things to
Yeah.
get noticed and get found, and for people to make their way to seeing your stream and everything like that. And it's just a process that you go through of learning that. Some people, it's me, and I didn't know, I was posting the same thing all over with the same captions and the same, and it
Yeah.
wasn't so after a while I noticed that if I just changed it a little bit for each one to really fit the audience that's specifically on that app looking for something, and I suit it for that type of audience, it's not the huge difference, but it does make a difference in the sense of who sees it and how they find you, or the attention that you get from people, or the thumbnail that you put, like, the same thumbnail that you would use on YouTube or Twitch. It's not the same one you're going to use on Twitter, I mean,
Yeah.
or on X or anything, so it's those things that you go through it and you start learning. And it was, for a while I didn't even know Twitch had the section where it had like informational videos or little tips for streamers and stuff, and it's those things that you go through the motions of it and you start learning. What I wanted to ask also pertaining to that is, how important do you feel it is to have a niche when it comes to streaming?
So that is very important. Because if you are a variety streamer, and from what I've noticed and from what I've educated myself with, variety streaming is very difficult. You are catering to, like, all right, for example, you're playing Dark Souls one day, right? You have a bunch of people that loves Dark Souls, and then you're like, fuck it. Let's play Animal Crossing. And those are completely different audiences. And the people that play Dark Souls will most likely not come to watch Animal Crossing. So you have to have a specific genre, I guess you could say. Mine is MMOs. I have a niche that is my that is my niche. I focus on MMOs because the one thing that everyone has in common, whether you're a solo player or you're a community player, is one of the most important things in MMOs is the social features, community interaction, because everyone's in a guild. Everyone is doing this. Everyone is doing that. And the thing is, it's transferable in MMOs. So if I play World of Warcraft and I have a guild, then I have a guild Discord. That guild Discord will, oh, hey, we're going to play Elder Scrolls Online today. Everyone goes, plays ESO, and it's transferable. So to me, like, if you're going to play or if you're going to stream any type of game, stick to your genre, not specifically to that game, but to your genre. So variety streamers, though, I've literally been watching this guy for 2 years, and he has streamed Pokemon games, Dark Souls, just all Souls games, That was his highest. That's another reason I'm using this example. His highest was Dark Souls, but then he switched to Pokemon and he got frustrated. He was like, "Where's my audience? Where did they go?" He mained Dark Souls for, I would say, 4 to 5 months, and he developed an audience with it. But he hates replaying games, so he's like, "I can't constantly play Souls games." So he tried other things, and his viewership is constantly like this. And that's why it does cater specifically towards YouTube, is to have a niche. So you can have various types of videos about various types of MMOs, but you're still hitting the target audience. So when you stream, they come and they kind of expect it. You can grow from there. But if you're just throwing random games in at people, it can be super difficult. That it is going to be very stressful.
It's true, yeah, because people start expecting something specific from you. When you switch it up, it kind of messes up their whole flow, and they're like, "Yo, what's going on?" Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to look for this. It's like showing up for a TV show. You want to watch Dragon Ball Z, and you're like, "I want to watch it." And I don't know where they're showing Naruto or something. Like, all
That
right,
would piss me
fine.
off.
Yeah,
That would frustrate the
you know what I'm
shit out of
yeah,
me.
me too. So it's like that, or if like you're gonna go drink some water, and little do you know it's Sprite or something like that.
It's straight vodka. You're like, oh, woo.
Exactly, yeah. It's like one of those things that it's that much of a difference that and it affects people. How or what are some realistic expectations you feel that streamers should have?
Realistic expectations is change of audience. You are not like, all right, someone could watch you and they could be regular, and one day they're not going to be there, and someone else comes in, and then it's going to do the same thing. It's repetitive. Do not get upset when someone no longer wants to watch you. You may no longer float their goat. You may be a different, like they may have found somebody else that they like more. That's completely normal when it comes to content creation, streaming, YouTube. There are some people out there that were diehard. Um, what's a good example? I would say diehard PewDiePie fans, and or no, what was that? What's the grouping? Sidemen fans. I was a big Sidemen fan. Then I started watching The Boys when I got into VR content, and I was almost a VR content creator, but I started watching a lot of VR content, and then I ended up thinking The Boys were significantly funnier and a lot more towards the content that I like. And it's not like that I hate Sidemen; it's that I like them a little bit more, so I'm going to show up for them a little bit more. That needs to be into every streamer's mindset. Your people's what they like changes. It's the same as taste buds. It changes all the time. Um, don't kind of like you right when you first get your bit of success. Don't think you've made it. Do not like people will go, "Oh, I've made it. I had a 45 viewer stream. Tomorrow's gonna be a 55 viewer stream." You could have 50 to 60 viewers one day, 10 the next. Don't ever assume you've made it ever. Even if you've actually made it, still don't assume you've made it. Imagine you're going to go farther, try to always push yourself farther. Um don't when you accomplish goals, don't give up. Make more goals. So a lot of people's goal is affiliate. What's your next goal? It better not be don't overshoot your goals too. That's another thing. Make sure they're achievable, because if you make very hard goals and you're not achieving them, it breaks you mentally. It makes you feel like you're not doing something right. You're in a hole. So for me, my goal for this year, it's an achievable goal. It was 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I've surpassed that. But I've always make my goals achievable, so I don't get in a bad mindset. I don't get like, oh, I'm gonna fail. So just keep yourself in a good mindset. Don't drag yourself down, and don't expect everyone to be around all the time. That's another major thing, because I've seen it like really break people's heart that the regulars aren't coming in anymore, or they may have found a different game that they like and they want to go watch that game. Don't expect people to be there every single stream.
Yeah, no, I've dealt with that myself too. I've gotten in my head a little bit about that. I stream a lot, and the thing is that what I'm trying to do is expand my audience in the sense of I'm really into Gary Vaynerchuk's V Friends, and a lot of people have been very supportive in that. So the problem that I've come across is that a lot of those people stream, so a lot of people in those communities show up for everybody. But
Yeah.
the other issue is that a lot of us stream kind of around the same time or same day. So it kind of gets discouraging that you see people jump in your stuff and then they jump in someone else's stuff, or they're there one day and then they're not one day. So I totally understand what you're saying. And it's not a thing that people don't care. It's just everyone's trying to show up for everyone. Or
Yeah.
again, they might show up and you're having a conversation or you're doing a stream of something that really doesn't interest them that day, or it's just not their cup of tea, or so it's those things that you got to adapt to and you start learning. And I agree with you. It's one of those things that you shouldn't just take too personal, and that you should prepare yourself for. It's bound to happen. There's days that I have a whole bunch of people that tune in live and they're in the chat. There's other days that there's no one whatsoever that comes in the chat and they're just watching, and then you're wondering, why aren't they saying anything? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something? You get in your own head a little bit and you just start overthinking. And it's like you said, it's not that serious, man. It's just a thing that there's some good days, there's some bad days. Some days it's like today, in the beginning we had some really bad service and I got to try my best to adapt to it and everything like that. And you can never tell how it's going to go, but it's just about being there and being prepared to handle whatever it is that you got to do, and you work with what you got, man. And you just keep moving forward. It keeps growing. As long as you actually enjoy what you're doing, I feel like there's no way that you can go wrong with it, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And
Um,
don't go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off.
go ahead.
Another thing is like, even if your viewership wasn't that high that day, it wasn't a loss. A lot of people think it's a loss. It is not a loss. Don't think you're taking an L that day. It's still a W. You're still there. You still got through the stream, and you probably got a couple followers. You still got, someone new watched your stream at some point. So never accept it as a loss. Always view it as a win, no matter what.
100%. What I wanted to ask you next is, because I myself, sometimes when I feel like I'm either getting burnt out or I'm losing the motivation, I tend to look at other people who I watch, who I'm a fan of streaming, or other content creators that I'm a fan of, whether on YouTube. Like, when it comes to streaming, I really like Kai's stuff just because it's entertaining. I haven't
Yeah.
seen anyone like that in a while that I really liked. But I only jump in and out. And then when it comes to vlogging and stuff on YouTube, I'm a big Casey Neistat fan. That's like what really got me to want to start trying to do my own version of vlogging and everything. Who are some streamers on YouTube or Twitch that you look up to and draw inspiration from?
A YouTuber. He's not really a streamer. He's a YouTuber. Force Gaming. I idolize that man. His opinions are on point when it comes to gaming. Love him when it comes to streaming. That's a hard one. There's a lot of good creators that I watch. Actually, you know what? A good one is Samantha Please. She is a kick streamer. The reason why I like Samantha is because she's fucking awesome. She is just funny. She is herself. She's genuine, and that's what I like to see in content creators. It, I've seen people, they start a stream, and it's just they're fake all the way. She starts a stream. She calls it the shit show. She's drinking. She's got music playing. She can sing like a motherfucker. It's entertaining as hell. Um, but like stuff like that, those are the people that I like to enjoy. People that are genuinely themselves. There's another paleo content creator named Ravi. I love watching her stream because she is genuinely herself. She will not put on a fake face for anybody. That's what I like when it comes to streamers. And people that they have the ability to grow community. Once again, that's Sam and Ravi. Another content creator that people probably need to look up to a little bit is Widow Bears. I don't know if you've seen Widow Bears or anything like that. She's another kick streamer. She nails it. Platty TV, dude, he has a whole casino in his background. His whole thing is gambling. Dude is entertaining. He is really entertaining. He can actually put on a show, and I love watching him. I lurk. I don't really comment in people's streams. I don't know why. I don't like. I feel like I'll fuck up the conversation somehow if they have something going. I don't like, oh hey, except for Sam, I troll the shit out of her all the time. But I like watching those people because they do different things, but they're always themselves the entire time, all the way through.
I love that, man. I need to. I'm still figuring out. I've been jumping on and off of Kick, so I have heard some of the people that you mentioned. I have tuned into some of their stuff. Kick,
Yeah.
I still don't fully have. Like, I'm still. I feel like Kick isn't like a lot of these other places, like you can see they kind of have a specific type of audience, but I feel
Yeah.
like Kick has a mix of everything. So it's kind of like all over the place, and I haven't really been able to like navigate my way through it. But every now and then I try to go on it because I try my best to just pay attention to everything. I feel like you when you're trying to stream, it's good to just at least know a little bit about every streaming platform that's out there, that's popular, that people are using, because you never know.
Yeah.
One thing I've learned about following Gary Vaynerchuk is like, just always try to be experienced a little bit in everything, because you never know. Maybe today's the last day and Twitch closes down, or maybe YouTube
Yeah.
closes down, and you got to try to get your audience from one place to another, and it's not an easy transition. So it's
No.
always good to at least put your stuff a little bit everywhere, because you never know. But so Kick is something that I've had my eye on, that I've been thinking about also streaming along with all the other things I have here as
Yeah.
well. And it's just again, it's just another beast that you have to try your best to learn how to tame and really try to get a good grip on.
Yeah.
But what are some of the no, go ahead.
There's this negative people. All right, so a lot of people like to talk shit about Kick, and they have like this negative mindset. There's like a stigma behind it. Um, Kick isn't bad. Twitch isn't bad. There is no bad platform out there. Your stream is your stream. Your area where you're streaming is your domain. Now, there are negative, I mean, there are a lot of trolls on Kick because it's not as moderated as Twitch. Yes. Is there problematic streamers on Kick? Yes. There are problematic streamers on Twitch. There are problematic streamers everywhere. And there are favorites on Kick and on Twitch. A lot of people say, oh, Kick has favorites. Oh, Twitch has favorites. They both have favorites. Streaming is streaming across the board. And I say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do my late night Percy after dark streams on Kick, and I don't really announce when I go live. I just go live, and it's fun. It's like my stream dump. That's where I go and I make stupid content. And I do stupid streams, and I'm playing horror games instead of like cozy stuff. But people will sit there and say this platform is bad or Twitch is bad, Kick's bad. None of it is bad. There are amazing creators on both platforms, and like the creators I told you, now there's amazing streamers on Twitch. And I do prefer Twitch over Kick because you said Kick is a bit of mix of everything. Yes and no. Kick is mainly FPS content, first person shooter games. It's their main target audience, and gambling and IRL content. Twitch has cozy content creators, MMO content creators, FPS, things like that. Like Twitch is more of the hub of creators, but Kick, I've had people like, oh, where do I stream, Kick or Twitch? I'm like, well, what kind of content do you create? And they said that they want to stream, I think New World, and I was like, do not choose Kick, then stream on Twitch. There is a larger MMO audience on Twitch. The only MMO that's succeeding on Kick is old school RuneScape, and I still play the fuck out of that. That is still a fantastic game. But yeah, so there's that stigma, and I really want to get into people's brains that there is no such thing as a bad platform. Well, the creators aren't bad on that platform. It's your stream space is your domain. You make it what you want it to be. So it doesn't matter where you stream as long as you have fun doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's something a lot of people lose sight of, is the whole thing of doing what you enjoy. Like if
Yeah.
I always I just get entertained from seeing other people do it, and I look at it like it's something I could do. I could do that. I can, entertain people, joke around, or I like playing games, and it's not until you really do it that you start seeing that it takes a certain dedication. But I feel like the second, like, it's gaming. I would love to do gaming, but I overthink because, one, I know I suck at gaming. But at the same time,
Yeah.
I look at it like, all right, well, maybe that could be your thing, is that you suck at gaming, you know what I mean? And you'll entertain people. And then, when I did podcasting, I always thought, I haven't really had conversations with people yet, and it's going to suck in the beginning. I don't want to stream. They're going to make fun of me. But then I switched it to the point of like, no one's going to be on. So it's the best time to stream. No one's going to judge you. No one's going to. So once I started changing my perspective of it and looking at it that way, it helped out a lot. But it's true what you're saying. There is a lot of stigma depending on which platform you're going to be on and streaming on. And people tend to think one thing or another. Kick does have like a bad thing right now just because Aiden or whatever, Aiden Ross or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
he owns it or owns a portion. So it's like they kind of judge it based off that instead of looking at it like, it's just a streaming platform. There's many different people on it. Just give it a shot, check it out. And just like any other platform, it's growing, it's evolving. People are still, it's going to change over time depending on how things go. And it's just one of those things, you shouldn't count it out. I
Yeah.
like I said, I try to make sure I have at least a little bit of experience in anything. So if and when the time comes, maybe I have someone that's only wants to stream on one specific thing and they're only comfortable there. I want to make sure that I can adapt to that. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm ready for it. And, whatever program I'm using can work with anything, and you can just, keep moving. I don't think there should be any reason for you to be like, no, I don't do that. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
everyone should be able to be like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll try it out and we'll see how it goes, instead of just being like, but everyone says this and people think that. And none of that should matter. If you're enjoying what you're doing and you're getting some type of benefit or relief in what it is, despite wherever it is that you're streaming, I don't think it matters, man.
Yeah, it
As long
doesn't.
as you're streaming and you're being yourself and you're having a good time, fuck it. None of that should
Yeah.
matter.
100%.
Do you have or what are no, you already told us your goals. Hold on. See, a lot of questions that I have you answered already also.
Yeah, sorry, I get into tangents, so I can just go off. I can
No,
talk
you're
forever.
great. No, you're great. I love that. I just want to make sure I'm not answering asking
No,
something
you're good.
twice. Have you ever thought of expanding your content beyond streaming?
Yeah, I do YouTube. But I want to do other things. I'm currently working on a cookbook for paleo.
Nice.
It's something that I love. That's another one of my hobbies, by the way. I love baking. I love cooking. That's always been something that I like to do. But yeah, I got the cookbook going on, and I want to do more short form content. That is that's tricky to me because, like you mentioned earlier, and the algorithm changes, and what works on one for reels, for example. I had a reel today I dropped, and it's about a game called Weirdlets. I think it's at 2,000 views already on Instagram. It's at 26 on TikTok. And so it's different. I want to learn that kind of algorithm. So yeah, I do want to expand into short form content because I understand that's where a lot of audience is right now. And I want to reach those audience somehow. And I want to become an MMO news source or a gaming news source on those other platforms.
I like that, man. And see, I like it because it goes to show that you actually, regardless of what, everything comes back to streaming and come back to you doing something that's pertaining to this. And it's like you have it all connected. So it shows that you really care. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And cooking is I wouldn't have expected that, honestly. Do you think you would do any like cooking streams or anything like that?
That is something I want to do. Yeah, I want to do a brisket stream where I smoke a brisket for 12 hours.
That
Actually, I have a whole thing I want to do. I want to get like a tiny inflatable pool, some floaties, and some beer and a cowboy hat because I'm from the South.
love
And
it.
I want to sit there, drink beer, and then read the chat, smoke a
And
cigar.
do your
Because like,
whiskey, right?
yeah, so like
I love it.
one day a month, I always like just everything that I neglect to do. Like I neglect to drink, smoke a cigar, all that. I neglect it, but one day of the month for like 3 or 4 hours, I let myself just let loose, and it gets that steam out of my head. So I want to do it for one of those streams. Just me sitting in a floaty, just drinking beer, doing a brisket or something like that.
I love
Um,
that, man.
yeah, and I want to do axe throwing streams. I think that'd be really fun. I'm really good at axe throwing. I got first place in a league near me.
Nice.
Um, I definitely wouldn't mind just Betty Crocker the shit out of something, or Martha Stewart something in the kitchen, apron, and saying how to do something. I think that'd be really fun. But I kind of want to do that with another content creator. I feel like it'd be great to do a collab with somebody. They come in and we're making like Philly cheesesteak sandwiches or something like their favorite. Like they have to make my favorite and I make their favorite.
Nice.
I think that'd be really fun to do.
Nah, that would be. And how do you see? But with, like we just mentioned, like there's so many different platforms.
Yeah.
YouTube, Twitch, X, Kick. How do you see streaming, the landscape of streaming evolving? Where do you think it's gonna go?
So happy you asked that. The people are starting to like more live stream content that is IRL. People are on the move, and I want to do that one day, but I want to do it a completely different way because, as I said, I hate drama streamers. I absolutely despise drama content, or people are streaming at a party and then these people are arguing and then there's fights. Like you guys are in your 20s and your 30s and you can't just mellow the fuck out for a second and just like be calm. Like don't do it for content. Don't It's teaching the youth that being a jackass is rewarded. But when I was a jackass. I remember some guy laid me out pretty hard, and I was about 22, 23. I was running my mouth, and I was a lot bigger at the time. I was taking anabolic steroids, and I was significantly bigger, and I thought I could take on the world. You think that until some guy is significantly bigger than you comes and rocks your shit. And that humbled me. That changed my mindset completely. And ever since then, I avoid drama, altercations, everything like that. I can still hold my own in a fight. I've been in several fights since, but I avoid it like the plague because everyone thinks they're hot shit. In reality, you're not. And that's what I want, like, the youth to know, that what they're doing isn't smart. Do not copy this mentality. Be a more positive mentality. I want to see IRL streamers do nice shit. I wouldn't mind seeing an IRL streamer working in a homeless kitchen, like passing out food, live streaming that, saying, "Hey, come down here, let's support this cause," or someone actually supporting a cause live on stream instead of a party, everyone drinking from a red Solo cup and being a stupid dick at a party. That's what I want to see.
100%.
And yeah, like support, like do something, and maybe an animal shelter. Go live streams volunteering in that animal shelter. I would love to see that. I would sit there. One, I get to look at dogs. Nothing better than that. Two, like it shows like legitimate character and someone that is setting a higher standard than what this dipshit is doing in the back. Like Neon. Yeah, like something better than Neon, man.
Yeah, I really, those people irk me as well. I don't like that stuff. Also, it gets really like you go into it and you think it's gonna be different, and in every single stream you could tell it's some made up fake drama, and that they're all
It's
trying
all
to
scripted.
yeah, it's just really it's really irky because you can tell, like, the younger people really can't tell really, but when you're older and you've been around the block a few times, you can tell people are faking the funk, and it's
Yes.
just all for hype, and it gets really, it gets under your skin, it gets annoying, it bothers you. You just want to go through the screen and just like punch somebody in the face and like, yo, stop it.
So
Like,
bad.
yeah, it's, I understand where you're coming from, but you're right, man. I think that the way that technology is, I feel like people should try their best to utilize it in a productive way, in a positive way. I think there's enough negativity already as it is in the world. We don't need to be faking negativity and
Yeah,
drama. We
100%.
already got enough of it going on. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who's been in the chat. Nacho, Tab Fro, Brett, thank you for stopping by. Who else is on here? You Call Me, Ashkin, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate you guys showing love and support. Be sure to go and drop Perzival a follow on his Twitch. Go and check out. And also, if you're listening to this pre-recording, all the links to Perzival's social media accounts and streaming channels are going to be located in the description to wherever you're listening or watching this episode of Clocking Out. Make sure you go and show him some love. We have 47 people tuning in right now. We got 42 people on X. We got 4 people on Twitch. We got 2 people right now on YouTube. Thank you guys for showing love and kicking it with us. We've been streaming for an hour and 28 minutes. So before we get out of here, Brett, I was going to say Brett. I'm so sorry because he's in here in the chat. Perzival, before we get out of here, what are 3 top tips or pieces of advice that you would like to give anybody who's considering getting involved in streaming?
Be calculated. AI is not your enemy, so utilize AI the best you can. And 3, don't dedicate your life to it. You could still stream 2 to 3 hours 2 times a week, and you could still get partner. Just bust your ass in different ways, but do not sacrifice your life for this when you could do it in a more calculated way.
I agree with you, man, and I love that. And I really appreciate you taking the time to come by and share your story and inform us and educate us on more things on what we could do streaming from your firsthand experience. I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely jealous that you were able to make the progression that you've made in such a short amount of time. It goes to show that consistency and dedication and persistence really does pay off. So congratulations on that. I know it's not easy. Trust me, like I said, I've been doing this for a while, so I know it's not easy. I know there's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of hoops to go through. There's a lot of things to adapt to, and it's just, it's a learning process. And if you have the patience and you have the dedication and the drive for it, it goes to show, such as people as yourself, that it pays off, man. So I really want to thank you for sharing your story. Please keep doing what you're doing. I know I hop in and out of your streams all the time, and I see how your community is. You have a whole bunch of people who are truly supporting you, who truly care about what you're doing, and they love what you're doing. And before we get out of here, is there anything that you want to tell us that you have in the works right now, that you have coming up, that you want people to go and check out, so that we can go and give you a follow on your pages and just be on the lookout for what you have coming up?
Yeah, me and my buddy, we do have a true crime podcast called The Dweller Archives, but we are going to be starting a nerd podcast called Stuffed Locker. And if you guys can assume, it means being stuffed in a locker when you're a nerd. But he is a former Marine. He is a big dude. He actually holds a squat record and a deadlift record. If you go to his Instagram, he has deadlifted cars and stuff. He is a big man, but he is an absolute teddy bear, loves gaming, everything like that. And he's like me. I love gaming. So we're going to have this whole entire podcast dedicated to gaming, MMO news, and we're going to bring on other content creators as well to interview and to talk to. So yeah, we're going to be announcing that this is kind of like the first time I'm really talking about it, but we have a couple episodes already made. But yeah, Stuffed Locker is going to be dropping probably the next month or so.
Nice. I'm gonna be on the lookout for that, man. Let me
Appreciate
know,
it.
and if you got to send me your homeboy's information, I want to talk to him. That sounds like a freaking interesting conversation. You got a guy lifting
Yeah,
cars and shit, man. So
he's
I want
mental, I'll tell you that.
I want to know who the hell was trying to shove him in a fucking locker. I want to know that, because that's crazy, bro. That's not something that's easy, lifting cars and deadlifting shit, especially to hold the record of it. So I need to meet that guy.
Yeah, he's actually based after his personal experience in the Marines. His unit has a book written about their time in Afghanistan. It's a hell of a read, and once you hear his story, he is the most hardcore person I've ever met in my entire life. But you will never know it because this dude loves drinking ciders and listening to girl music in the car. But other than that, he's a monster.
There you go, man. So be on the lookout for the guys who are drinking cider, man. Don't fuck with them. They're gonna flip you over like a house or something.
You have no idea, dude.
So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been another episode of Clocking Out. Percival, thank you so much for your time and for stopping by. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the night. Everyone else, be sure to go and follow Percival, show him some love. And I really appreciate you guys kicking it with us in the chat. Again, I'm PR, the King of Hearts. This is Percival. Thank you. I love you guys. Stay safe. Peace.
See ya.